delighted you both are you have all been able to make it here today to share with us our milestone celebration. We appreciate it enormously, even if you have only had to travel a short distance to get here. But I feel a special mention is due to those who have travelled from afar. My brother and sister-in-law, Alan and Miriam, have come all the way from Israel. Our cousins Richard and Helen, who have come all the way from Brussels. Quite a few of you have braved busy motorways or British Rail to come from the Greater London area. Our old friends Julie and Paul, our cousins Ruby and Naomi, our other cousins Anne and Stephen, our niece and nephew Andy and Paul, our nephew David, our great nephew Daniel, our cousin Lydia, our great niece Catherine and her boyfriend Papa, our great nephew Jack and his girlfriend Floss, and last but by no means least, our two daughters from down south with their families, Gilly with daughters Chloe and Eleni, and Mandy with husband Jonathan and children Emily, Isabel, William and Jacob. From a little closer to Leeds, Cheshire, we're delighted to welcome our cousins Henri and Anne. For those who don't know, Henri's late parents, Maurice and Dora Shalom, were Lena's and Bella's guardians when they first came to England 66 years ago.
Wow. Mashallah.
And they were so hospitable and kind, Lena can never forget them.
Oh. Indeed.
Once again, many thanks to you all from us both for joining us today. And I would also like to say how much we would have wished to see sitting amongst you those of our loved ones who are sadly not with us anymore, both family members and friends. We particularly miss our dear sisters Bella and Lena. Sorry. Shirley.
You want some breakfast? Brexit.
Sadly, at the forefront of our minds is also the untimely passing, only 2 weeks ago, of Reba's younger brother, Simon. Our heart goes out to her, her mother Esther, and her elder brother Lee, and we wish them all long life. Now, Lena has a few words to say from a more hopeful and happier tone.
I feel privileged to be the one to introduce this happier note at the beginning of our celebration. Can you hear me?
Yes.
And to express how much we rejoice in the birth within our exciting, multinational and diverse family of a new generation. I would like to start by naming the latest arrivals, 3 little girls and 2 little boys whose respective besotted grandparents are with us in this room. The eldest one is 1-year-old Louis, sitting, he was supposed to be sitting in high chair, at table Ruby, with parents Rebecca and Matt, and whose grandfather Andrew is beaming from table Amethyst, wherever it is. No, Emerald. Is it Emerald? Yes.
Emerald.
Then comes London-born 1-year-old Pippa Rose from parents Abigail and Chris, who's the first grandchild of Andy and Paul. Sitting at table Amethyst. I believe little Sylvia Rose. I believe she at table oval with her parent Victoria and Giles, is also 4 months old, is that right? 6. 6, right, I'm behind the times. And her grandpa Jerry is beaming from Table Emerald. Beam. Last but by no means least is the most recent arrival, 7-week-old Sophia Bella. From parents Natalie and Matthew, who is the first grandchild of Reva and Anthony. Anthony, who, as you must have noticed, is our MC, is sitting at Table Emerald with Miss Reva, who was unable to be here because of her bereavement. I will now name the grandchildren of equally besotted but more seasoned grandparents. Ella and Janice, granddaughter of Naomi and Robbie, sitting at Table Emerald. Aidan and Spencer, go on, grandson of Helena and Richard, sitting at Table Amethyst. Millie, Zach and Sylvie Rose, grandchildren of Jerry at Table Emerald. Where are we? Sam, Josh, Janice, Natalie and Ben, grandchildren of Barbara, who is not here unfortunately.
Different Barbara. We've got a Barbara.
No, I'm not there yet. Right. Talia, Jack, Harriet, Edward, Lottie, Gabriella and Richard, grandchildren of Doreen and Richard, also at Table Emerald. I have already mentioned little Louis, Andrew's grandson, but like Barbara and Jerry, Andrew and Penny are both doting grandparents and doting step-grandparents. And I wish to add here, Max, Penny's lovely grandson. Unfortunately, this very morning was the stern setting of Penny's father, who passed away only a few months ago, and Penny was also, and equally understandably, unable to share with us the joy of our milestone celebration. And we miss her. Another loving step-grandmother is our daughter, Audrey. Where is she? It's over there. On Table Aquamarine. Her eldest daughter, Laura, is the stepmom of a lovely 4-year-old little girl who is the daughter of the fiancé, Stephen. Therefore, she is Audrey's step-granddaughter and, of course, our step-great-granddaughter. She's also the step-niece of Tony, Audrey's younger daughter, and her name is Hannah. I was going to say about Henry and Anne, if you have grandchildren from any of the 3 boys, certainly they're included, but you haven't yet, so that's fine.
Not a dog.
As are those or friends. Lily and Albert, have you got grandchildren? Great-grandchildren. Sorry, great-grandchildren. Stanley and Norma, Paul and Judy, grandchildren. David and Margaret, grandchildren. And also Anita and Barbara. And I know Barbara's got great-grandchildren. So, this is it, I think. So, and now, our very dear relative and friends, please be upstanding and raise your glasses to the... Sorry about that. Anita, don't worry. The happiness and good health and good fortune, hush, of the new generation.
if you haven't, then laughing, you know, just be very, very careful. But anyway, hoping that you've swallowed the first course, I'd now like to call upon Lena and John's three daughters in order, I mean, there's no order of beauty, so in order of nothing at all, Audrey, Gilly and Landy, to come and say a few words.
We have become our father.
What an incredible and amazing achievement to have reached 60 years of marriage, still be smiling and making each other laugh. And so we asked, how was it that these two lovely people were destined to meet?
Well, I'll tell you. Mum and Dad came to England in 1950 at the age of 16. Sorry, Mum did, not Dad. Mum came to England in 1950 at the age of 16 when she and her big sister, our darling Auntie Bella, attended boarding school in Wiltshire. 2 years later, Mum went on to study architecture and then interior design in London. She graduated in 1955 and went travelling around Europe. On her return, she discovered from Auntie Bella that the whole family, complete with Uncle John and baby Anthony, had relocated from London to Bradford in order for Grandpa Dory, who was a wool merchant, to be at the centre of the wool business. She said, "Where's Bradford?" And Auntie Bella said, "Follow me."
Little did they know, but the same year Mum arrived in England, a young man who was also destined to work in the textile industry, a young man with, unfortunately, no sense of physical coordination, but an excellent grasp of French literature, very handy, having just spent a year studying it at the Sorbonne in Paris, and this is spookily significant, I think you'll find, as he was unknowingly about to marry into a French-speaking family. He'd also relocated to Yorkshire to study textiles and work in a woolen mill with his father and Grandpa Sam. Also, he was sent there to learn the beauty of Yorkshire literature and was often asked by his Auntie Edith to say something in Yorkshire, dear. To which he would recite this classic poem.
In Huddersfield, there was a cow that wouldn't yield. And the reason why it wouldn't yield, because it didn't like its Huddersfield.
So, having guided my parents into the same county, fate continued to take a hand in making their destinies coincide. Because only 4 months after Lena settled with her parents in Yorkshire, in the Christmas of 1955, she was asked out by a friend of Dad's. And that's how they met during that festive season. Lena ditched the friend, went off with John, and 4 months later they were engaged. And 6 months after that, on the 30th of September 1956, they were married.
The definition of compatible is well-matched, like-minded, well-suited, companionable, attuned and harmonious. Mum and Dad are all of these and more. And the undeniable proof of their amazing compatibility can be seen in the last 60 years. Whilst being different in so many ways, Mum and Dad have loads in common, which we think is the secret of their success. A prime example of their mutual love of animals, especially dogs. Who could forget our lovely dogs, Buster, Prince and Jason?
Whilst being very diverse, Dad coming from an Ashkenazi background of Yiddish words and English and a love of the French language, Mum and her Sephardi background with many languages at her fingertips, Greek, Spanish, French and English, to name but a few. We grew up hearing many languages and understanding more than we could actually speak. Mum and Dad are always were real Francophiles through and through. They shared love of the French language and culture. and this resulted in many trips throughout their married life to France.
Which brings me to caravanning. Caravanning holidays with 3 children was a brave choice. Mum and Dad's spirit of adventure was illustrated as we drove to the south of France each year, often having calamities along the way, but always having a fantastic time in the end. When I look back on it, I realise what hard work it must have been, driving those long distances, attaching and detaching the caravan, emptying the portable loo, and finding their way around French campsites at night with 3 small children. It must have been mad. However, I guess one of the things that made it great was on our return to Blighty, we would come back with 3 beautiful, innocent children in the back, smiling sweetly at customers, as we smuggled in about 6 boxes of 24 bottles of red wine, hidden under our sleeping bags in the caravan.
I'm afraid so.
Anyway, they seem to have loved it, as I said, and nowadays they are still making regular trips to France, but staying in a gîte, which is a far more sensible choice, and with the Carharts, who have, it seems, inherited the adoration of all things French.
So, what else have this pair got in common? Well, that is easy. They are both kind, good, loving, intelligent and caring. Perhaps this is not a completely unbiased opinion, but I'm sure you'll agree with me, and that it's all true. And all these qualities have brought to their marriage, and that has resulted in a happy home and a close family. Not to speak of 3 delightful daughters. 8 equally delightful grandchildren.
Mum and Dad, you are 2 in a million, and we are so proud of you. We wish you congratulations and mazel tov, and many, many, many more years of wedded bliss.
So can everybody please be upstanding and raise your glasses to toast Helena and John on their diamond wedding anniversary.
Mum and Dad!
All of you know Lena and me pretty well. And after that wonderful speech from our daughters, you know us even better. But there might be some aspects of us you may still be unfamiliar with. So we'll start our speech duet by enlightening you. And for the overture, the baton is in Lena's hands.
Right. We fear the format of our speech duet is unconventionally not in prose. Can you hear me?
Yeah?
And we confess, though we have laughed a lot, it has been murder to compose. We trust you won't have any problems grasping the convoluted plot. And do take note, we have done our best, but Homer and Shakespeare we're not.
Most of you know, or perhaps not, Lena loves writing in rhyming verse about life, our threatened globe, and mind-blowing universe. She does get stuck sometimes, and has been known to rant and curse, but won't give up, as you will witness here, quite the reverse.
True. Now about John. He's an avid reader of news, though they're sadly mostly bad and almost certain to bemuse. And he's vociferous with dismay at people's actions in the reviews he scans, peruses and pores over in search of answers and of clues. He's also still working and he won't retire. And I quote him, not for some time. He's determined to stay busy while he still feels he's in his prime. There is no argument from me. His optimism is also mine, apart from which it keeps him out of all mischief and petty crime.
Yes, I've got to fight this inclination to rob old ladies in my spare time. Now about Lena again. There's lots of interests. hurriedly scribbles for all she's worth into the night. It's at that time, she maintains, her head springs notions that take flight. And here I quote her, with jumbled thoughts, dipping and looping like a kite, before miraculously shaping into the words that feel just right.
Yeah. But on this milestone in our lives, after a special festive day, and even though it's still daylight, my thoughts go back such a long way, with much emotion, but also wonder that I'm still able to recall. I said with John, my life was blessed. I was complete. I had it all. There is a but though. There is a but though. For when we met, I had this scariest belief. With such a paragon of virtue, our acquaintance would be brief. But then, on closer inspection, he had a poor sense of direction. And that so slight an imperfection gave me instant blessed relief.
Wow, what a coincidence. Because I had similar concerns after we met. And before every further meeting, my heart beat faster. I could not rest. I had been smitten good and proper, but also angst in the belief that she was too good to be true, and our acquaintance would be brief. I saw before me this perfect girl, pretty, intelligent, a priceless pearl, and had grave doubts our liaison had any prospect to unfurl without a hitch. But I'm not one to dwell in qualms. I thought I'll hurl my scepticism and bravely give this girl a whirl. But crumbs, on closer inspection, her inner clock needed attention. And when I spotted that imperfection, well, yes, I did feel some relief, but must confess, I also worried it might augur impending grief.
Impending grief? What nonsense! Really, as if. And here was I about to say, you were my life and my rock. There really isn't anything wrong with my affronted inner clock. It may be a little Greek sometimes, but I do not call that a fault. So please take John's worried confession with a huge barrelful of salt. And perhaps in retaliation, it is for me now to confess my inordinate dismay. His desk is always in a mess. For 60 years, it's caused me annoyance and insupportable distress, which I can say I suffered stoically. For have you heard me go obsessed? He said yes. Well, okay, just once or twice. It's a nightmare to clean. But I guess you're not responsible for this annoying, imperfect gene.
Oh, thank you. It's so good of you. I'm really grateful for that. But at least within my family, we've never had a single bat.
Well, I know I'm nocturnal, but there's no need to be so foul. Would it not have been much kinder to compare me to an owl?
Well, yes, but I'm also hurt, and I don't think anyone here has heard me howl. But as I'm not at all vindictive, I apologize nevertheless. It's news to me that I had caused her so much distress. I'll buy a sat-nav. I'll rid my desk of its annoying, untidy mess.
Ah, well, what can I say? I know. If you say sorry to my clock, I will now say what's in my heart, that you're my life and my rock. That 60 years living with you has been a stroll in the park. And who knows, I might one day metamorphose into a lark.
Really? Sorry, clock. But surely you knew that all my jibes were in jest. Of all my crucial life decisions, marrying you has been the best.
improvise. So let us rewind our duet to the beginning and attest that considering our provenance, I from far south, you from northwest, plus adding in our imperfections, we've built a tolerable nest, wherein we hatched our 3 daughters, who are among the very best. I know it's un-British of me to boast, but today I shan't be coy. They are simply quite wonderful, and our pride and joy.
Indeed. And for our 60 years of marriage, we're also unashamed to boast 8 affectionate grandchildren who keep us young. Well, ish, almost. 6 stunning girls, 2 handsome boys, at various stages, all in the throes of building futures. Our pride grows and grows and grows.
Very dear relatives and friends, the above verses are not all mine. We've done this together in a team, as a team. Sorry about that. We have gone over them until they echoed like a persistent recurring dream. And we feel sure you'll be relieved that we have now run out of steam. Thank you for being a great audience. We are so grateful it hurts. Now you can talk amongst yourselves and enjoy your just desserts.
From that introduction. What to say about Grandma and Grandpa? I mean, they're just the best people I know. So kind. When I was at the University of Leeds, they just couldn't do enough for me. I knew if I'd just give them a call and kind of say like, I don't feel very well. Got sore throat, Grandma. The next day I'd get driven around with chicken soup. Honestly, I didn't have to do more than that. And they're just so kind and wonderful, and I love them so much.
Oh, she missed something. Do you want to tell the story, or?
One story where on my first night of university, I, got introduced to alcohol, never had a drink before, 1 vodka, came home, had a bit of an accident, a lot of vomiting, rang Grandma the next morning. She drove round, picked my sheets up, quick dry clean, dropped them around the next day delivery. That is a perfect story, an example of their kindness and goodness. I don't know anyone else who'd do that.
What you haven't said is what happened the second night and the second
It was a one-time thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I could say the same, but I don't drink. So.
Good one.
I don't really know what to say. Like, they are just the best grandparents I could ask for. First off, I mean, if you ask for anything, they'll give it to you. I asked for love, gave it to me. Attention, you gave it to me. Food, you gave it to me in a half. Like, Grandma's cooking, I'm sure anyone who's been around for dinner understands that she loves to cook for everyone. When I was at uni, I used to not be able to afford food. So, as you do, I used to come for the weekend. I spent all my money on water. So I used to come for the weekend so I could pick up some Tupperwares of food to bring home. My favourite thing was when Grandma made me some fish goujons, but I couldn't eat them in my house because they were so smelly of fish, so I had to eat them outside. But they were so good. I would sit outside and eat them. They were so good. But yeah, they were my rock at uni, so I'm very grateful for you being there for me. Thank you. I love you.
The 2 very loving grandparents who we love very much, being there for thick and thin. They much deserve a special day. I don't know anyone that deserves a day just like you. You are amazing.
I just want to say thank you, Grandma and Granddad, for everything.
funny craft. It's really crap.
This is the birthday girl.
Yes, she's 17 yesterday.
More about that later.
All of us grandchildren have had such lovely memories with Grandma and Grandpa about as far back as we can remember. For instance, Grandma always used to illustrate our birthday cards when we were younger. So with every birthday card, we receive a beautiful work of art from her. One year when I had reached the ripe old age of 3, I decided to repay the beautiful favour by drawing a lovely illustration all over her brand new sofa. I'm sure that they're extremely